How's it going, everyone? We're here to check out the top skins submitted for this week. And if you're new, it doesn't mean these skins are in-game yet or that they ever will be. It just means that they are the ones that have the most potential to and meet the minimum requirements at the very least. So, starting off every time, we start with my top 10 personal picks of what I think should make it in. So our first set here is going to be the White Core version 2. And they just really stepped it up with the details. It just looks so much better. They did the strapping and the pockets and everything just looks so much more detailed. It pops and it doesn't look flat. And this is just a really good example of adding stuff to clothing. It is just a simple white camo, but they did more to it and it turned out good. Next we have Flashback's version 2 road sign set. And well, if this wasn't in my top 10, I think all of you guys would have called me crazy. I mean, everyone wants a new green camo set. And Flashback seems to be the one that everyone's pushing. It is very well done, and it is a great camo, and it would be a nice alternate to how expensive a lot of the green camo skins that previously were accepted are. Alright, moving on to our deployables, we have a double wooden door, and they're not something that we get too often of, but they're still something that's quite sought after because of that. And, well, this one has a nice little Japanese theme. It's kind of like a little bar or a cozy little place to go get a drink and snack kind of thing. And yeah, they just did really good with Azakaya. I hope I'm saying that. Bar wooden double door. And of course, with double doors, you can make them look different. So on this side, you do have an exit with a bunch of extra kitties and a different layout to the plants. Moving on, we have a single sheet metal door for you this week, and it is the Smoldering Metal Door. This one has a nice glow and is part of the Smoldering set. Obviously, this set has been pretty popular, and this would be a very easy sell for a high quality, good sculpted door. Then next up, we've got the Proprietor Armor Door by Werecat. And this one just has a really rusty, just industrial look. It just really fits. No trespassing. Violators will be executed. Yes, that's pretty much how Rust goes, right? And if you take a look on the back here, there we go. So, if we go ahead and kill the lights, you see it has this very kind of red and hazardy kind of glow to it. Then, of course, we have the burning embers of the Smoldering Door and the pleasant neon of the bar door. Moving on to our weapons, no tools this week. We also skipped a high qual set, and that was a Royal Safari set, which is actually available in the store right now. That was one of my top picks for this week, and it looks like Hulk picked it this last week, and you can pick it up now if you like it. So, starting off, we've got the Headhunter Sword by Robstar, and once again, Robstar has made an amazing looking melee weapon, and this is just such a sleek, really well carved out sword. They just done a really, really good job with this. Next, we have a neon wire bow for you, and yeah, this one is a kind of, it is a repeating texture, but it has some details done to it, cutouts and little bits of different areas to it. It was actually sculpted, and I think that's what makes a difference. And the neon wire seems to be doing pretty good, so this is just a easy idea for a good prim skin for this week. Moving on, and speaking of primitive skins, we've got the Elastic Band Python by Duck. And this is basically a wooden python with rubber bands holding it together, and it's just a really funny idea. It fits Rust, and it's just so well executed. The wood parts actually look like wood that is lacquered, not just shiny wood texture, and that's the kind of thing that just makes a big difference. Woods and metals are very hard to get when it comes to making skins, and it makes a difference when it's really done right. Aiming down the sights here, you do have a orange tip to the wood, and there we go for our reload. Last but not least, we do have an AK for you, and it was tough for me to choose between two different AKs this week, but this one just really was sculpted over the top, and I think it was great. The Destroyer AK-47, it has what looks like some kind of like metal dinosaur going on here with all the scrap pieces. And it's just everywhere you look, there's extra little details to the meshes, to everything. It's all sculpted and done well. It's all its own textures, and it's not just a flat thing that's painted. Aiming down the sights, you have a nice little red tip and some more dinosaur teeth staring right back at you. So that does it for the top 10. Let's go ahead and jump into all the other wonderful skins this week. Alright, first up we got some burlap head wraps for you, and there's some goofy ones. This is the chimpanzee heads wrap by Gentle Beast, and yeah, it's basically just a monkey mask. It really reminds me of someone from like Planet of the Apes or something like that. They just did, especially the old school Planet of Apes is what I mean. And there you go. Next, our other burlap head wrap is the dumb head hat. It's literally called, and this is something between I don't know, the monster of the lake and Skibby toilet or something. Yeah, I don't know. Or some kind of old Valve source film stuff. One way or another, definitely creepy and weird, and hey, so is Rust. Moving along, we've got a little more burlap for you with the karate jacket and pants, and these are some pretty dirty burlap clothes, but they did a good job, and they really just do look like someone's old karate clothes. And I think it's nice for a prim set. I could see a lot of people liking this, especially since the ninja set way back when was quite popular. Next, we've got some leather gloves for you. They come in two different variations. There's the red, which pretty much matches the rest of the set, and the white, which also can match it too, for the kitchen warfare. As you can see, the top has a tin can lid. There's various bottle caps on the knuckles and so forth, and more tablecloth wraps and napkins for the rest of it. So definitely a nice continuation to the set. Speaking of sets, we've got some more Neanderthal for you with the Boonie hat, which has a kind of like a flower pattern or like a sun, where you can see it's cut out in wedges, and that makes the shape look very unique. You got some bones and other jewelry like the rest of the set, and then we've got the matching booties down here, and they're pretty much just animal hide as you would expect. Next, we have the salad poncho and bandana, and well, the whole thing just looks like a bunch of salad tied to a string that's just hanging up and around your shoulders and face, and yeah, it's just a really silly idea, and it fits right in with all the other weird food clothing that Russ seems to have. Next up, we have the bandage set by GBG, and yes, this is actually a coffee sign helmet and road sign armor. I don't know if this is way too chipped down to even count. I mean, it doesn't even look like armor, and honestly, if you're a female character and not wearing the clothing sensor, you're just going to be plain topless. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure if this has a chance. Also, it's called bandage, but I don't see how any of it's really any bandaging, really. I mean, maybe kind of like slings, kind of in a way, but it kind of, did they misspell bondage, maybe? Alright, next up we've got the Hell Riders face mask and chest plate, and these were probably my second runner-up against the Royal Safari set for the top 10 this week. So I guess you could say this goes in the top 10 since the Royal Safari was accepted last week. So anyways, here it is, and the nice thing about this is everything is a detail. The flames stick up, the chains stick out, everything is lifted up, sculpted, all the pieces stand out. It's nothing flat. It all has some kind of little detail to it that just makes it look awesome. Finishing up with not least, but last, the Cold Hunter version 2. With some more pieces accepted, it looks like MDE is right back at the Cold Hunter set. And as you can see, it has little frost drips around the edges now, has more cuts and pieces missing. It's really been updated to that new texture that's just a little bit more brighter and a little more alive. And yeah, I just think it is a nice little update, including the frosted leather straps. Alright, moving on to our deployables. First up, we've got the Abyss Small Box version 2. Not too much has changed. There's just a few more little tweaks in here and there to it, but honestly, it is still the same box. Hopefully, number 2 will have a chance for everyone that likes this set. Moving on, we've got a continuation with the My First Base set with the large box. It's got some more doodles. You can see various monuments you should recognize there. It even has a little underwater thing going on, and some added rainbows to the sides. Then over here we've got continuation in the flash box set with the medical box. See all the syringes there. Then next up we've got a large wood crystal box for you, followed up by the large bread box by Weta, not to be confused with the same artist that made the baguette bag that's in the shop this week. Then over here we've got a large concrete protection box. Comes in two different versions, one with and without the graffiti. This one has more graffiti, and I think it just kind of fits more with the look of it. Then last but not least for our boxes, we have the DJ box. As you can see, the whole thing just kind of looks like a turntable, all music themed, and you know, we've had a few different ones like this submitted, and hey, you know, maybe one will eventually get in past the music update way back when. Moving on to our furnaces, we've got the gelatinous furnace, and this whole thing, well, if you know what a gelatinous slime is, it's kind of a thing that rolls around, and anything that gets in its way eventually gets slowly dissolved inside of it, so hey, I think that was definitely the idea here. Moving along, we've got another really cool furnace for you, the Blue Marble Furnace by JJ, and this just has a very cool look to it. It is truly a piece of artwork for a furnace. Then over here, we've got ourselves the Gargoyle Furnace. It has this really cool sculpted gargoyle, very kind of iron look with kind of the older stone. The wings do wrap almost all the way around, which is quite cool, with the lighting up eyes as well. Moving on to our doors, we have so many doors for you this week. The Clan Base version 3, pretty much if you get past version 3, that's kind of it. So this is probably the last chance there for that one. Then moving on, we have the Origin sheet metal door by Milo Frito, and well, it looks like a rust rock cracking through some kind of weird portal door. Then over here we've got the Tarot door, the Fool. Comes in two versions, glowing and non. Then over here we have the Runny door, and man, at first I'm like, well, it's white, maybe it's not something, and then the name, and then just, I don't know, guys. Yeah, it is really cool sculpting, but man, the name and the color choice, I don't know. Moving along, we've got a kind of creepy door for you, the Stalker metal door by Diva Dan. Then the Toxic Gaze garage door, which comes in glowing and non-glowing. Then moving on, we've got a continuation in the Little Story with the Little Story metal door. Moving along, a trap metal door for you, specifically a mouse trap. Then we have the Metal Guard sheet metal door. And moving along, the Outlaw metal door. Fallen Sanctuary door. Mewguard door. Metal double door bunker. Sheet metal biker bar. And Dead Souls metal double door. This has been an older set. We have a few different pieces from. It's nice to see it pop back in. Then moving on to our garage doors here, we've got the Chalk garage door for you. Astral garage door, complete with a nice glowing roller. Then there is the Royal Gate, and this comes in two versions, one with all of this transparency. That's right, all the holes between the gate can be seen through just a bit. Of course, there is a version without the transparency in case that's too much. Then over here, we've got something that looks straight out of Halloween with the Nightmare garage door by Hirok. Then moving on, we've got a very kind of rust door for you with the Reinforced garage door by Calgarian. Then moving to this one, it is the Ultramarine Lines. There we go. And I like this one because when you look at it from different angles, it really looks like the door is bent and has different angles like the crystals, and they did a really good job with that. And then lastly here we've got the Hell Trader garage door, and I'm not really sure what this guy has to do with rust. He's got like glowing hell horns and stuff, but hey, if you look back there, you can see he's definitely selling rust stuff. So there it is. Definitely very cool, fun, cartoony art style for sure. Last but not least, we have an armor door for you, and it is the Beyond Reason door. It comes in a glowing and a non-glowing, and it features a very kind of cult look with the deer skull helmet right there. And we can go ahead and kill our lights and start cruising past all of our glow. There we go. See two of them a little better. Not too much there, just the cat eyes. Cruise all the way down to the story. And toxic. Very creepy with the stalker door. Then you got that tarot door. That portal. Clan base. And of course we have our furnaces. Oh man, this one just lights up really, really cool. Look at that. Very neat toxic glow. And then we've got our boxes. And there we have it. Alright, off to our tools and weapons, and first up we've got a neon rock for you here, and well, of course, as you would expect, it does glow at night, has a very nice, calming kind of neon blue. And then our next rock also glows, so we might as well just keep the lights off. It is the Flue rock, and man, this one was a contender for the top 10, just with how cool and how well sculpted this is. But there you have that. Then we have a very silly rock here with the Friendly rock. It looks like someone's old underwear put over a ball to look like a basketball jersey, and then they drew a little face on it. You know, it's just as twisted as everything in Rust, and it just fits. Speaking of twisted, we have a demon horn knife for you. Pretty simple, bone knife skin, looks like a bloody demon horn. Moving on, we've got some cool sculpted swords for you. The top 10 one isn't the only one. We also have this cutter sword, which looks like a razor cutter, which is just really hilarious. And then we also have the hidden brigand sword, which we have a few swords that have been shaped like this before. This one just kind of has a little bigger teeth and then has a camo theme kind of going on to it, as well as the saw on the other end is kind of like a file. So they definitely did their own thing, and this looks quite cool. Next, moving on, we have the blade hunting bow. The reason it's called blade is because the actual top and end look like old blades, and then the rest of it's kind of this old mossy wood and tethered cloth. It's definitely a cool design, but it is a little bit hard to see in first person. Then moving on, we've got a continuation in the peony set with the crossbow. It's a very nice, simple, painted wood with a beautiful kind of hand-painted design to go along with it. Lots of purples and pinks, and there we go for that reload. Next, we've got a continuation in the synth set by Phi with the Python. This is a very kind of blue-purple, kind of futury, techy kind of look to it. Aiming down the sides, you do have a light blue tip against the darker blue there. Moving on to SMGs, we've got the Ditto Thompson for you. This could be an easy contender for this week, as a lot of this Ditto set has been making its way in recently. Aiming down the sides here, you have a little face and a bluish tip, but it's, depending on really how the light hits it, it almost just looks the same color there, unfortunately. Moving along, we've got a custom for you, and this one is the heat injector. It has two versions. One does actually glow, so as you'll see here, it does look very cool. Almost reminds me of the alien relic just a little bit. Aiming down the sights, it does not have a glowing sight. It is just normal sights, as glow sights are banned. Moving on, we've got an MP5 for you, and it's the Ultra Violence MP5. They should call it Ultraviolet because of that. Maybe that's a play off of it. It probably has to be. There's two versions. There's one that's kind of more messed up, and then this one here would be the clean version. Aiming down the sights here, you do have a nice purple tip to go along with the rest of the glowy purpleness. On to our next MP5, we've got the Primal MP5. This one's much different. It has a more hand-painted look to it, and, well, a very kind of tribal look, and I guess thus the Primal name. Aiming down the sides, you do have faded kind of orange-red going on. And there's that reload. Next, we've got a continuation in the lineup set with the MP5. And this actually is something that glows. That is crazy. I don't think any other pieces from it have actually lit up like that. So that's pretty crazy. There isn't, of course, any glow to the sights, as there probably shouldn't be. And there it is. Moving along, we've got one more MP5 for you. The Black Steel MP5 has a very kind of carbon steel look to it, which of course I'm thinking where the name comes from. Aiming down the sides here, you do have a cut sight with very, very orange kind of esporty tips. Moving along, we've got ourselves some rifles for you. The first one here is going to be a continuation in the Deep Monster set. We did see the AR, so depending how well it does this week, maybe we will see the SAR make its way in as well. It's just a very beautifully sculpted set indeed. Aiming down the sides here, you do have a shiny green sight. Moving on, we have one other SAR for you. It is the Madness SAR, and yeah, this is the next piece in the Madness set. Same kind of screaming skulls and carves of the, kind of chrome through that flat black. Aiming down the sides, you just have normal kind of metal iron sights there. And there we go for our reload. Next up, moving on to our ARs, we've got the Industrial AK-47 for you. This has a very kind of construction truck kind of look to it, very much so like maybe some of the excavator and a little bit of the trains even in it from Rust. Aiming down the sights here, you have a very rusty yellow mustard sight against that bright red. Next AR is the Mushroom Disco, and man, this thing, you got skull shooting laser with like a melting something on its head and a eyeball Illuminati something and a cloud vomiting a rainbow and just black on black sights. There's so much color here, you couldn't have just put a little color on the tip. But hey, very crazy looking AR. Moving along, we've got something a little more on the rusty side for you with the White Phantom AK-47, and this just has a really cool carved out look. It's also very rusty and worn, and it's just one of those things I think a lot of people would love to see in Rust with the design idea. It even has a bit of a skull, but it's kind of a little more alien looking, so you do have that. There's a bit of a whitish gray tip against the darker gray, but not too much of a differentiation on the sides there. Moving on, we have the Calligraphy AK-47, and this one is basically, it kind of almost looks like someone took oil paints or something and just kind of smeared all over the AR and made this crazy design on it. And yeah, there you have it. It's kind of just this aqua kind of swirls. Aiming down the sight, you've got kind of one of those ink blot kind of designs, and unfortunately just normal kind of sights. Again, a little bit lighter tips, but not too much of a different there, unfortunately. Next up is the Overheat AK-47, and this is the one that was the runner-up to the top 10 AK. This one just absolutely is really cool. The steel and the welded pieces and the burning hot metal is just very, very cool. You have, different sights kind of set up there. And it does have a glowing version as well, which looks pretty cool. Just like it's molten in your hands there. And I could see a lot of people liking that, even though it would kind of give you away at night. Moving on, we have the Commuter AK-47, part of the Commuter set, and it has that same kind of slick look as the rest of the bike set does, almost some chromed out green at the tip there. It gets almost shinier the further up front you get. Aiming down the sides, there is a lime green tip against the kind of aqua and chrome for the sides there. Moving along, we have a single LR for you this week. It is the Maraud AR, and it just has this crazy character blowing flames out and screaming, and I'm not even sure what's up with that, but the whole thing is just really crazy. Aiming down the sides, you have white versus sky blue, and another kind of crazy looking face for you. And there we go for our reload. Then, last but not least, we do have two L96s for you. The first one here is the Yakuza L96. I don't know if that name is alright since, well, we have something called Mob, or Mafia. It doesn't really say specific Mafia, so I don't know. One way or another, very cool design. I can see a lot of people really, really loving this one for the colors and the art and just everything. Aiming down the sights, you kind of have red lines and a swirl on the bolt, which I thought was pretty cool. And last but not least, we have one more L96 for you, the White Viper L96. Definitely has a very nice, sleek, modern snow camo kind of thing that I think a lot of people would really dig. Aiming down the sights, there's even a kind of like, almost looks like a little sci-fi kind of target reticle, which I think is a nice little addition to the design. So that's going to do it, everybody. Sound off down in the comment section below which ones you are hoping for to make it in this next week the most and why. As always, thanks for watching and stay rusty.